Welcome to the Sajdah Saturday morning coffee talk, where we talk about life, love, and business. And I got an interesting topic that I want to talk about today. Something a little bit more tactical. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Jamil, Adams MN 17. And before we do that, while people are coming in the room, y'all know I got my Jay-Z motivation for us. Put that on. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear okay.
Luck. I heard people say I'm the luckiest man on the planet. I like to think I stay ready. A wise man once told me luck isn't some mystical energy that dances around the universe, randomly bestowing people with satisfaction and joy.
Thank you, Brother Jamil.
You create your own luck.
I'll get in my zone now. There's going to be no talking. I'm going to go in, I'm going to think, and I'm going to vision myself tearing this down. That's how you do it. You got to vision it first.
The truth about talent is, first, that it's God-given.
Come on in the room, come on in. We just got our 5-minute motivation while we waiting on everybody to get on up in here. Get that coffee, that tea, and come on in the room.
It's going to be there. You have to have that belief that when you go into the basket, no one that's on that court can stop you.
Peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I got me some egg coffee this morning, and a new cup my brother got me called Black Excellence.
Jay-Z started with an intention to reach an audience that he knew he could speak to.
So come on into the room, into the
intention to speak to an audience. He had a dream.
Y'all know I'm a studier of people and mindset, and I love studying people who are wildly successful and getting an insight into their mind. So that's why I play these things for us on Saturday mornings. Get us in the habit of studying.
I'm a millionaire by the time I was 30 years old. I actually calculated what it would take and all these different things, and I had no idea, I had no plan of how I was going to arrive at this point. And when I first started making music, that's when I first realized that, I was tapping into an emotion, and I knew there was small pockets of people all across the country that I spoke to directly, but I didn't have the vehicle to get to them. I didn't have a record label at the time, so I tried to get a record deal, and I couldn't get a record deal. The record company would be my bridge to them, and they didn't give me that bridge, so it was a very important part of my career that needed to give up right there, that belief in myself and belief that I had something to offer. So we built our own bridge, and I started my own record company.
Only two things can get you through this, man. That's patience and persistence.
Patience and persistence. Y'all hear that?
This right here we call a magic moment. Right now I'm thinking like,
come on into the room.
Track set?
We're just continuing our insight and study into mindset.
Figure out what I'm gonna say on it. Figure out the emotion of the track, what it's saying. Then I go through my Rain Man.
I don't know if y'all catching what he's saying about learning how to capture and harness emotion. So he's talking about when he hears a track, he picks up on the emotion and learns how to capture and harness. This is one of the things that I've been talking to us about now since 2009.
It comes out there for me. I start mumbling. They say you put the right artist with the right track in the studio, leave the door crack and let God in.
Like Destiny is chosen. This is what I've been talking to you about since 2009. Find the emotion, capture it, and harness it.
Quick example is a guy named Earl Manigault who was said to be way better than Michael Jordan, but he didn't make the league. He was selling drugs. He got caught up in drugs. His circumstances got in the way. So you have to define your genius level talent. Then you have to believe in it so hard because people put their shit, their insecurities on you. Like when I was young, my uncle I went to my uncle and I had my demo tape. My first
You have to
demo.
find your genius level talent. You have to believe in it.
I was like wide-eyed.
And you got to be unrelenting about it, because other people will put their insecurities on you. Not because oftentimes that they're haters, but a lot of times they're trying to protect you because you look crazy. But you can't worry about that. Vanguard Queen 2020, Assalamualaikum.
Pursue his dreams didn't work out for him, so he was putting that on me. So you have to, even people that are close to you and love you, you have to have so much belief in this genius level talent that no matter what anyone says to you, you have to have this focus. So you have to,
no matter what anyone says, you have to have focus. You're trying to get your business up and running, you have to have focus. I'm going to stop it here because I got something I want to let you all know. No matter what anybody else says, oh, thank you, Sister Ida, you have to have focus. You have to believe like you know your heart is beating. You're not thinking about, let me make my heart beat right now. So you have to believe in your success like that. You have to get your belief in your success to the point where, I tell you this all the time, that it's on a revelationary level. Yeah, there's the motivation. There's the practices and the labor. But you got to get it to the point where you are so locked into it that when you're calling on the God in your subconscious mind, that belief is right there. But here's what happens. Here's a few things. Here's a few habitual thought patterns that mess us up every single time. The first one is comparing ourselves to somebody else. You gotta stop doing that. You gotta stop looking at the next person and taking score. They skinnier, they lighter, they darker, they richer, got a better car, got more jewelry, whatever it is. People like them better. See, you got to accept who you are, where you are right now. Because the last thing you want to do is get so deep off into comparison that envy and jealousy takes over your mind, takes over your personality to where you can't even be a good person anymore because you're so envious and so jealous. And that's a nasty thing, because what the world does is it forces us to always compare. So it's always showing us something on television or on social media that we should compare ourselves to. In fact, about it, it's a habitual thinking pattern that has been with us as black people since slavery, but it also has been with white people since slavery. So it's been with those of us who are enslaved and slavers since then. And I'm not saying that before we were brought over here in chains that maybe we weren't comparing ourselves. I'm talking about this modern day conscious mind that is developed right now out of that slavery. Because it existed before. It definitely existed before. Many of the kings in Africa who sold people into slavery, who got tricked that there would be more over here than what there was over there, got tricked because they end up in a battle where they didn't like each other. Oh, I don't like so-and-so, so-and-so. So I'm going to take him out, and then I'm going to keep his wife, which will give me my 144th wife. That's how they would do. And then those women would be slaves, and the children, and then they'd sell the man, and the children get a little older, and they sell the son. It wasn't until you had the certain European countries that came in that made it, that really transformed it into that level of cruelty that we know today. And then once they got to the point where they wanted to establish slavery as an institution and justify it, is when all the lies and the mind training and the tricknology came into play. And so one of those tricks is constantly getting us to compare ourselves. We know that from the Willie Lynch letter. Some people say Willie Lynch letter never really happened. I don't believe that. That was truly a mindset because it still exists today. The light against the dark. Because there were rewards for certain characteristics and traits that we still hold on to this day. So we see somebody with a nice house and we start looking at them and going, well, how they get that? Is it because they lighter? Is it because they're taller? Is it because of whatever trait? And that's what we did during slavery. That's what they did to us. Light-skinned ones got to come in the house, get a free piece of chicken. Dark-skinned ones had to stay in the slave quarters, in the fields. Didn't get to read. Younger against old, men against women. All of these kind of things where they pit us against each other. So this habitual thought pattern of comparing ourselves has been the detriment of us. But see, if we really were operating on a spiritual level, we wouldn't be so quick to do that. We'd be quick to seek motivation in our brother, our sister, not comparison and negativity. We'd be quick to seek motivation. Why? It's like I told you all, make it a habit. It's something I've been doing my entire life. I love documentaries. I love learning about people who made it through history. When I think about people like the Annie Malones and the Madam C.J. Walkers, I was learning about this woman who owned the Elam House in Chicago. And I started thinking, what kind of mindset did you have to have in the early 1900s when most of your people were just up out of slavery or battling sharecropping, and some were really still technically enslaved, to come up here to the north, work as a maid, save your money, have the audacity to buy a Rolls Royce and ride around in it when women weren't even allowed to drive, let alone black women. Who do you think you are? What's the mindset of that type of woman? What's the mindset of this woman who built this Elam house in Chicago, who was just up from slavery herself, worked again as a maid, saved her money. She married a black real estate agent. That's a whole nother mindset. Who are you that in 1912 you a black real estate agent? What did that take? What did that require? I remember a friend of mine, his grandmother used to sleep with a shotgun over her headboard. And I said, man, what? May I ask? Why are you sleeping with that shotgun over your headboard? You 80-something years old. She said, because when I first moved in this neighborhood in Chicago, then she said this so smoothly, after they killed my husband and my son, and after I had brought 20-something people up here into this neighborhood from Mississippi, sometimes they would come in our houses and kick our doors in. And I'm looking at her because now I got questions. What kind of mindset did this woman have to hang in there? And then she said, I caught me a couple with it. And I'm looking at her like, wait, back up. You came up here from Mississippi. You had the nerve to send back for 20-something people, almost this entire neighborhood, whether they know each other now or not, is a descendant of somebody who you brought up here. You sleeping with the shotgun on the back of your headboard because you said, after they killed my husband and my son, because they didn't want us in this neighborhood. I just said, my God, what kind of mindset? So that's why I'm telling you, get around people who are accomplishing things and successful, and study their mindset. Don't be caught up in, why can't I do this and why can't I do that? See, because Allah takes people through things that He knows is going to produce certain mental conditions that's going to force them to make certain decisions so that He can use them, and then they can be an example for you and I. So that's why ever since back in the day, when I was teaching orientation, I've always had no problem using my life and my mind so that you could see it and you know it. I tell you what kind of child I was. I tell you what kind of student I was. I tell you, and I study my own mind so that I can share with you. So that I can share with you what was going on in my mind at certain points. And so you could see it. Not so much so you could do it, but just so you could see it. See, because let me say this. See, when you're put in a position where you're constantly comparing, let's say you don't like your body. And you're like, man, I wish my body wasn't like this. I wish it wasn't shaped like this. Why are you wishing that? Okay, maybe there's some things you can do to compare. We should all be working out and taking care of our bodies. But what if you're just sitting there going, I don't like my feet. I don't like my hands. I don't like my shoulders. I don't like this or that. But if you knew that a great queen, Queen Makeda or Queen Amina or Queen Cleopatra or some great successful person had the same feet as you, same hands as you, same body as you, you probably wouldn't trip that much. But because you're looking at television and you're comparing yourself to people, and what's happening now, we are starting to see black women who are like our body shapes and black men on shows who are a little thicker and a little bigger and kind of look more like our everyday brothers and sisters. But when you look at like top, I was on a website the other day and I was looking at all the models that they had chosen, and they were all, in my opinion, women who look like adolescent white boys. They look like adolescent boys. And I said, if we as women are comparing ourselves to the body of somebody that looks like an adolescent boy, what in the world is that doing to our self-esteem? Because Allah made us a certain way. Even look at the women back in the day during slavery. Those women were trying to get bodies like us as black women. They put the corset on. They put the extra padding in the back, push the dress up in the back, add a little extra padding up here so that they could look like us. But this not only just goes for women, you see, because men have to realize that that woman that looks like an adolescent boy is not the standard of beauty. So that they're not looking at us as black women going, well, she don't look like that. I ain't really feeling that. That's just unsustainable. So when a real man goes, oh yeah, I like curves, or a real man says, oh, I like it like this, we look at him like, what you doing with her? She kind of chunky. Or what's she doing with him? He big. Well, is that just us comparing ourselves to something, a body type that's unsustainable? And I'm just using body as an example, because this happens to us when it comes to our careers. See, when we're not in tune with our authentic self, then we start this comparative thing. We don't even know that God is guiding us and taking us on a path that is designed specifically for us. And so when we're looking around, looking at that person's path and that next person's path and this person's path, and comparing ourselves and constantly taking score, we're just backing ourselves up into a hole. So we have to stop doing that. You're going to see people who are different from you. You're going to see people who are charting a different course from you. You're going to see people whose lives are different from you. That's fine. But you have to understand your authenticity, who you are. See, I'm the kind of person, and I've been like this for a long time. I could care less where anybody else is in their life. I'm going to congratulate you. I'm going to support you. If I need to help you, I'll do that. But I'm not really tripping on where you are in your life, because I got my own stuff. I've always been so deeply rooted in my own authenticity that the responsibility that God gives to me has always been heavy. And I don't even say heavy in a negative way. I'm talking about heavy in a way where I got to think my way through it, study my way through it, elevate my way through it. And so I don't have time. So what I learned to do is, as we are functioning as a God, understanding the importance of different people in my life and how that energy interacts with mine and feeds me what I need at certain points in time. Y'all didn't hear that. Say something in the chat if y'all got that. See, that way we're not so dependent and so negative all the time. You know, Thousands Black Tax Prep might say, you know what, I need to talk to the financial architect today, because that's the energy that I feel like I need. Everything's energy. We're all like one big loaf of bread, and you have all these pieces of the bread, and when you pull those pieces together, then you got one big loaf. So somebody might be good at this, you might be good at that. Think about that. It's interesting because we're working on, I don't know if you guys remember me telling you about the cracked Adam statue that comes from one of our lessons that we're putting on the front of the Elijah Muhammad house. And we decided that the characters were so powerful that they were superheroes and that we could create life stories out of them. And so we've been working on that script. And I thought it was interesting how the 7 of them kind of all fit together. They have different traits. This one has psychic abilities. That one has healing in the hands. This one can fight. This one can get money. And so when you put it all together, it just makes for a beautiful team. So that's why the importance of our unity needs to be stressed. And one of the first broadcasts we plan to do from the Elijah Muhammad house is on unity. And it's just something that is so important. Another thing that I really want to touch on, which is sort of I guess you could say an offshoot of our manifestation series. How many of you all in the chat have been attending the manifestation series? And if you have been attending the manifestation series, let me know in the chat what you're getting out of it, because it's one of those things where you got to put in the labor. You have to study every week, so that you get it. Always remember the art of problem solving. And that's what we touched on this week, the law of cause and effect, which is really part of the art of problem solving. And next week we're going to talk about the mind of a conqueror. We're going to dig deep into the mind of a conqueror. I've been studying people who are conquerors, and of course the minister said that we should all have the mind of a conqueror. Conquer what? Conquer our minds, conquer our situation, conquer our businesses. We should have the mind of a conqueror. So we're going to talk about that this week. But going back to the law of cause and effect, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us to always go to the root. And for a lot of us, you're right, Brother Jamil, it takes out a lot of the emotion. But it also starts with analyzing the emotion. Because you go, why am I feeling like this? See, remember, the emotion is your compass. Why am I feeling like this? What's my set point? Which way am I pointing? Am I sad? Am I happy? Am I elated? Which way am I pointing? That way the GPS knows where I am and it can get me to where I'm going. So it starts with the emotion. But most of the time in our day-to-day life, we don't use cause and effect. We just don't. Somebody said, to me just in the chat, sis, you're glowing this morning. And I said, thank you, all praises due to Allah. What's the root of that? The root is revelation. The root is water. The root is rest. The root is love. The root is happiness, because that starts to radiate through us and into our skin and from our skin. So sometimes we have to ask ourselves, where am I? And the way you know where you are is by analyzing your emotions. Where am I? My emotions. That's that first, when you're typing in your GPS and it says where to, and you have to type where you are, or you allow the GPS system to calculate where you are, that's your emotional set point. So now you figure out, where am I going? Where do I want to go? And then you have to figure out how to take yourself from that emotional set point to the emotional set point that matches where you want to go. So that's why a lot of times in the one-on-one sessions, I help you figure out what your go-to emotion is that will help get you there. But here's the thing about cause and effect. We may look at our lives and we may set up goals and we say, I just am not making the money that I want. Or I'm just not, let's talk through, because most of your questions for me are either about money, health, or relationships. It's always one of those three: money, health, or relationships. And you say, let's talk through money. I'm just not making the money that I want. I just can't accomplish the things that I want with the money that I have. So we go, okay, what's the cause of that? Let's go to the root. Well, first off, you might be working a job where you're not making enough money. Or you might not be working at all. You can't say I'm not getting, but you ain't working. Or you might be spending all your money. You might say, you know what? You got so much child support and so many garnishments that you're going to have to find something else that you need to do to get on the other side of that. You might say, you know what? I just don't like my weight. I'm gaining weight. I don't know why. A lot of people put that in the chat. I don't feel good. Let's go to the root. What is your diet? Are you moving? What is causing that? Oh, you know what? I don't like the way my skin looks, so I need to go to the dermatologist and get a cream. Do you need the cream? Maybe. But do you need to know why you're breaking out? What is the root cause of it? Maybe you're allergic to something. Maybe there's a food intake. Maybe you're not drinking enough water. Whatever it is, what is the reason? What is causing that? Why is your equilibrium off? So we always want to go to the root. Okay, we have a company, and for some reason, we just can't seem to make the margins that we want. What is the root of it? It's not, let me go steal from the next customer to try to make some more money. The root is, maybe you're paying too much for it, for your products. Maybe you're not making the margin because your overhead's too high. So you want to dig and go to the root of it. We just don't do that oftentimes in our everyday life. I say, man, I just want to look better. Okay, what's the root to why you feel like you're not looking good? And go there. Maybe you can't do this. Maybe you can't do that. Maybe you need to pay attention to this or that. So you always have to go to the root. I have a business and I'm not selling enough. Okay, what's the root? Is it the market? Is it because you're not getting out there pounding the pavement? Is it because maybe you're getting caught up emotionally with your customers and then they string you along and then you don't close the deal? Is it because you're afraid? What is the reason? So you can't just sit there and wallow in your condition and try to fix the effect or the condition. You have to go to the root, to the cause. This is so true in health. Because when we go to the doctor most of the time, you say, I've been really having these headaches. I've been feeling depressed. What's the first thing they do? Let me give you a pill for those headaches. Let me give you a pill for that depression. What is it? Interesting that when at MIVC, we have this sort of root cause analysis when people come into us. We don't just treat the condition. So we may have, and I'll use this one, I know it's a sensitive subject, but we may have men that come in and they're struggling with some form of ED. And so instead of us going, oh, try this pill, let us zap it with this or that, we really sit down and do a study and go, is it psychosomatic? Maybe you just don't like the person you're with. Is it arterial blockages in that area? Are you diabetic? Do we need to get that under control? Do you have some nerve damage? And so we go through a whole litany of things so that we're not abusing our patients just trying to get money by treating the effect or the condition. Somebody come in and say, my legs hurt when I walk. Okay, what is it? Is it arterial issues? Is it a venous issue? Did you have some trauma? Did you hurt your leg, bump your leg? Are your muscles just getting weak because you're not moving around? Do you have some type of blisters or sores that just make it so you can't move? But what is the reason? What is the root? We have to do that at every point in our life. You know what? I just can't seem to keep my house clean. Why? What's the root? You don't want to walk around the house pointing out, that's dirty, that ain't organized, that's messed up, that's dusty, ants over here. What do you do? Well, okay, let me go to the root. Maybe when I finish eating, I need to wash the dishes. Maybe when I take my clothes off, I need to hang them up or put them in the hamper instead of letting them pile up on the floor. Maybe once a week, I need to go through my house and straighten up and clean up. Maybe before I go to bed every night, I need to make sure certain things are organized so I don't wake up and it's unorganized and then I put more unorganized stuff on top of the unorganized stuff from yesterday. What is the root? You see? So make that part of your habit. Go to the root. What is the cause? Because in this world of money, of medicine, of health, we tend to treat the symptoms. We treat the condition or the effect. Let me tell you something. We're so obsessed with the effect that we almost worship the effect. How about that? We literally almost worship the effect. Have y'all seen that? Somebody would say, I got a headache, and then the next person says, I got a headache that's even worse, and then the ego gets involved, and you start comparing headache to headache, or you spend hours on the phone with your homeboy just talking about what's wrong with this or that, and you make a God out of what's wrong. I'm going to say that again. You make a God out of what is wrong, a God out of the condition. And then once you make that God, besides Allah, that becomes your God. Now you focus on it and it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. That's why I don't understand these talking head news shows. I just don't understand how, I won't even say I don't understand it, but I just don't like them. Because if you sitting up on television for 24 hours talking about one problem, and you got millions of people focusing in on that problem, and y'all are focused in on that problem, what in the world are we doing to the problem? We are making the problem bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're changing the conditions of the environment and calibrating it to that problem. And over time, if you talk about the truth for 24 hours a day, it's going to get some level of alteration. So by the end of the 24 hours, it ain't even the same subject no more. You can't keep coming up with different ways to talk about the same thing, because after a while, you're going to deviate off into something else. 24 hours? The same subject? Over and over and over again? There's got to be some other metaphysical answer to that. And I would say to us, don't sit up and look at that stuff 24 hours a day. Pick you a day of the week, a time of the day. Some of us are news junkies, we got to look at stuff. We got to look at it every day. Pick a time in the day, hit it for an hour, watch a news show that'll give you something quick, comprehensive for an hour or so, and get off of there and go practice some other kind of mental strategy. Because there's no way that any good can come from talking about a problem for 24 hours and never diving into a solution. That's right, bro. Dip in, dip out. And the reason why we're all caught up in fear, the reason why we're all panicked, the reason why the entire world, all the markets are impacted by this type of thinking. Everything is impacted by this way of thinking, and even we are impacted by this way of thinking. So we get a problem, and it becomes fun to talk about it all the time. I'm not saying you can't talk about it. You know, I'm the kind of person, I'll talk about it, we laugh about it, and then we move on. Or you talk about it and you go, what is the root cause? What is this really? See, when you change the way you think and you get up out of there, when you see them talking about a problem, you also see the spin, you can see the propaganda, you can see the game, you can see the whole thing. Sometimes I look at it and I see the whole thing laid out. One of my gifts is that I'm usually able to see a few chess moves ahead. I can generally about tell you what's going to happen with something, like, oh, this is what's up. And then when you can see that, you can then go to the root. So my point is, break yourself of this habitual way of thinking. This way in which we are regurgitating and rehearsing and going over and over and over and over a problem, to the point where we don't go to the root of anything in our lives. See, our body, every cell in our body has intelligence in it. So whatever we want, whether it's money, good homes, friendships, all walks of life as we're promised, we can have that if we learn to activate that intelligence. How do we activate that intelligence? There are certain behaviors and thought patterns that activate that intelligence, but it's already there. That intelligence is already there. You don't have to do anything other than line yourself up with it. And how do you line yourself up with it? Practice the right emotions. Make sure that you understand your emotions. Make sure that you're thinking in alignment with what it is that you want. Everything starts with that you want. Everything starts with thought. So your behaviors being in check. But you can heal. You can turn things around. I'm always playing these motivational videos in the beginning, whether it's Jay-Z or 50 or Les Brown or somebody, or Oprah, somebody who came from ground zero and moved up to multi-billionaire status. Why? Not because I want you worshiping money, but because I want you to see the process of mental transformation and healing. It's already been done. There's no reason why you can't do it. But that healing's already there. You want to feel better? You want to get healthier? You want to be happier? You have within your capacity to do it. You just have to learn how to align your thoughts, your heart, your behavior with the universe, with Allah. You got to line it up. How do you do that? By practicing certain behaviors, by going to the root. See, because guess what? It's really not that complicated, because your subconscious mind already knows what to do. See, awareness is the mother of transformation. But because we live in a world that distracts us from the root of things by talking about an effect, talking about an effect or a condition for 24 hours, we adopt that mindset. But if you think about just ask yourself, what's causing this? What is causing me to be short of breath? Why do I feel tired? What is causing this? And you ask that question. You put that question out there. You're either going to be led to the right doctor. You're going to be led to the right diagnosis. You're going to be led to wherever it is you need to go in order for your body to now heal what you just made it aware of. You don't go join the shortness of breath club. If you're fat, you don't go, well, I'm going to go join the fat club. You go, all right, why am I overweight? Why am I fat? Maybe it's my late night ice cream and pie eating. So you ask yourself that question, and then your body will automatically tell you. You don't have to know anything about insulin levels and not eating at a certain time of day. You don't even have to know anything about that. Raise your awareness. Why can't this person stop smoking? You may say, why can't I stop? Or what's the deal? But start with asking yourself that question and then listen. Because you're going to be guided to the right place. You're going to see the right thing. You're going to be led in the right direction. You're going to be guided to talk to this person. Something's going to tell you, call that person. Once you go to the root, then everything around you, your entire environment, your entire universe that was made for you will begin to converge in upon that thought and help you out. Why can't I get more customers? Ask yourself that question and sit there with it. We talk about our motivation. Some of us are saying, you know what, meditation. Some of us are saying, you know what, I can't meditate. I just can't sit there. Well, I tell you what, go for a walk and think. Jump on a treadmill and think. Do something that allows you to just let your mind be quiet. You may not be able to sit there in the chair yet and just meditate. You might not be ready for this. That's okay. Get up in the morning, go for a walk. Get up in the morning, move around. And then you start to learn what changes your energy. You'll start to learn that. And you'll start to learn how you calibrate yourself to the wrong thing. Because sometimes we practice the same thoughts over and over again. Sometimes we listen to the same song over and over again that makes us think about that breakup or that time in our life where we were at a certain vibrational level. I'm not saying that you don't listen and remember and go, man, I'm a long way from that. But some of us do it over and over again. That's because it's a pattern, a habitual pattern. So you want to break yourself of these patterns so that you adjust your immune system. You adjust the intelligence in your cells and you let it know, no, I'm in charge. I tell you what to do. That's what you're doing with your environment and with your mind. No. I tell you what to do. I decide what I want. I decide how this is going to go because I am the child of the master of the universe. And me and the master of the universe got a relationship. That's sometimes how you got to do it. Sit down. You might just say, I like to listen to air blow. I listen to air condition or I listen to a sound. If I'm outside somewhere and I can listen to the birds, I'll listen to the birds. And then through that becomes like a form of meditation. But you got to break up those patterns. We have patterns that we carry with us from our upbringing. We have patterns that come from our parents. We have patterns that come from our mates. We have patterns that we create that keep us safe. We have patterns that we create that keep us in an energy space that we're familiar with. You got to break up that pattern. What are you doing that's keeping and locking you in place? If you say, I just feel stagnant. I feel like I'm on a hamster wheel. Well, how do you get yourself off of that hamster wheel? You take a look at the patterns in your life. Pick a couple days where you break up the pattern. Somebody taught me I'm going to say this real quick before we get ready to go. I was working one time with this money shaman that I actually met when I was stranded in the airport. I spent so many years on the road as a consultant, and we were stranded in an airport in Boston for hours. And we just started talking about mind hacks and the way to hack your mind and change up your patterns. And he gave me a technique. He said, you know what? He said, if every time you feel hungry, you eat, then your body will create that sensation even when you're not hungry. So sometimes you might get stressed out and your body might think, okay, I need a biscuit. Or your body might think, okay, I need this or that. And he said, so sometimes when you feel that hunger pain, don't eat. You let your body know, I'm in charge. You don't tell me when it's time to eat. I tell you. If you feel tired, a lot of times we feel tired and we go, oh, I feel tired. Let me lay down. I feel tired. Let me go to bed. Well, you have to say, oh, yeah, I might be tired, but I'm not going to bed right now because I tell you, body, when it's time to go to bed. And so he talked to me about breaking up patterns and hacking your brain so that your body's not ruled by your subconscious mind. That way, every time you get angry, you won't reach for the bottle. Every time you get mad, you won't grab a cookie. Every time somebody get on your nerves, catch yourself. When you find yourself wanting a snack, what just happened emotionally? What happened? So that's how you work on adjusting patterns in your life, because there's probably some pattern in your mind that you are following that's keeping you stuck, because when following that pattern, it's putting you in a certain vibrational state. So the question is, what is it that you do? You may say, well, every day at this time of the day, I listen to this particular song. Maybe today don't listen to it, because there's something about that song that might be adjusting your vibration, and that might be what's holding you back or holding you down. So you have to make sure that you are not afraid to break up your patterns. Some of us eat the same thing every day. We eat, and then at a certain time in the evening, we go get us a bag of chips, no matter what. Well, what is that habit doing to you? See, so you want to make sure you teach your subconscious mind that you are the boss. And you do that by breaking up your patterns. Your body says, I need to go to the bathroom. Sometimes make yourself wait. Instead of as soon as you feel like you got to go to the bathroom, you run to the bathroom. Make yourself wait. Maybe wait 5 minutes. No, I tell you when it's time to eliminate waste. You don't tell me. That way you start to really understand what are the true signals of your body versus what are signals that are the result of external stimuli. That way you start to know those things and you can recognize that. But start taking control, breaking up those patterns, doing something different. If every Saturday morning you do the exact same thing, then maybe this Saturday try doing something different. Break it up. Because you want to get to the point where you're in charge of your body and you read your body for what it truly is. And now you start to move into becoming a God, because then you determine, I'm having a headache. Let me heal my headache. I need to lose a couple pounds. Let me lose these pounds. I need to make a little extra money. Let me go get this money. You can do that on demand. You're not always operating on a hope and a prayer. A lot of us are, oh God, please give this or that to me. But when we get into where we understand those patterns and we control our subconscious mind, we can do it on our own. So I hope that helps today. Let me know in the chat if that helps. I pinned our website for Sajdah House here. We are at the finish line, and I need y'all to help me get the people to get us to the finish line. We want to have independent preservation. If you have not purchased a commemorative Elijah coin, we ask that you go out and purchase it. If you have not made a donation, we ask that you go out and make a donation. Make it a challenge for yourself. Put it in your mental. Some of us have not yet attached our psyche to being able to pay for a coin or make a donation. Work on your psyche. I had a good friend of mine who was talking to me one day about her ex-husband. I'll tell y'all this quick story before we get out of here. And I said, girl, what happened? And she said, well, when I met him, he was only making $12 an hour. And I was like, okay, so you knew that. She said, but I realized that there's a psyche attached to making $12 an hour over the course of 5 years. And I remember thinking, wow, it sounded harsh, but I was like, wow. She said, so when I realized that there's a psyche attached to $12 an hour over the course of a number of years, I started to wonder what other parts of his psyche are holding him at $12 an hour. And I said, that's deep. So I say that to us. What part of our psyche is holding us back from doing whatever it is that we say we want to do? I get so many texts from y'all saying, I want to buy a coin, but I'm not ready yet. Well, what part of our psyche? See, this is where we move into becoming a God. You say, I want a house? Then fix your psyche so you can get the house. You say you want to buy a coin? Then fix your psyche so you can get the coin. You say you want to be a billionaire? Then fix your psyche so you can become a billionaire. These are the mental strategies that we talk about every Thursday, every Saturday, and every Wednesday. So I put the site out there so y'all can go make a donation. We're almost at the finish line. We're right there. Okay? And so we need you to fix your psyche so that you can support independent preservation, because what we like to do is talk about the effect, right? So let's say that I didn't purchase the house. Then y'all be talking, that's a damn shame. Y'all see those people living up in there? They don't even believe that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad even lived there. It's a whole white family with their children running around, and they could care less. They done changed up the inside. Y'all be talking smack then. But you have an opportunity to do something about that. I've done most of the heavy lifting. So we need you to help support independent preservation so that we can tell our story. Aren't you tired of people being on television talking about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's students and not him? Aren't you tired of learning about black people who have done some amazing things, but we don't even know them? Aren't you tired of somebody else owning our history? It sickens me when I get calls from people who live in South Korea and Japan and different places, and they say, how much do you want for the Black Muslim Business Directory? Because I realize they've bought and sold our culture, and we're just sitting around because we don't want to do things like pay $500 for a coin or $375 for a pendant. We don't want to purchase a home. We don't want to tell a story because we can't. We in that $12 psyche and we're stuck, and we don't know how to get ourselves up off the hamster wheel. It looks like they're about to shut us down because I'm close to my time. No, I think it might be my battery. All right, peace and blessings, family. Please go out there, get your commemorative Elijah coin, support independent preservation. It's time for us to own, monetize, and tell our own story. See you all, inshallah, on Wednesday for the Mind of an Entrepreneur series on Black Muslim businesses. And then we'll be back here Thursday for the Manifestation series. So peace and blessings, family. Love you all, and I'll see you all soon, inshallah.